Hey guys, welcome to the option group. It is Wednesday, July 20th, and just wanted to put together a little something. Had a lot of people that want to get on board, and whenever I started talking, they just like, hey, this is too much. Can you start with some really, really basic stuff before we even touch the platform? So this is what I find over and over again is that people have a lot of preconceived notions about what trading is, and they think of it as something extremely complicated, and they approach it without seeing the forest for the trees. And so that's what these slides are about, and that's what this series is about. Hopefully, to give you a big picture, what this game is all about, how people are making money at it, and then we'll get into the platform and what the technicals are and all that. So, what is the game? What's the game that's being played here? And why are people so excited about options? What is the big deal? Well, it's a big industry. Think of it as a business, and there's billions of dollars being made, typically by professional option traders. Okay, now that's the difference. They know something and they're doing something a little bit different than the novice trader, and so hopefully you'll get some understanding of what that difference is. Okay, so big picture stuff. Number one, what's the game? Money in, money out. Okay, that's what this first slide is about. And what are we doing with options? Okay, so with an option strategy, right, you're putting together options to create a strategy. We're going to get into the details of that strategy, but I want you to remember this idea. The idea of trading options is to take some money, $100. You're going to pop that into an option strategy, and time will go by, and that $100 turns into $150. Okay, that's the name of the game. I mean, that's as simple as I can put it for now. The idea is to take money, put it into an option strategy. Time goes by, and then hopefully you pull out more money than you put in. All right, so remember this. Now, option strategies, we're not going to get into technicals yet. Just remember option strategy, going into slide number 2. Now, option strategies have a lifespan, right? Every option strategy has a lifespan. It can be anywhere from, most of the time, what you see out here is people trading 7 days to 65 days. So that means, when you have the strategy set up, you put your money in, 7 days go by, and you take your 150 out. Okay, that's a 7-day till expiration strategy. Okay, the second example, you're going to take this is a 45-day to expiration option strategy. So you're going to take your $100, put it in, and 45 days go by, and you pull out 150. All right, remember that, days till expiration, or DTE. In the third example, you take your $100. This is 65 days to expiration. And then 65 days go by, and you take out $150. So you got a 50% return on risk. And this is what's happening every single day, all day long. All right, let's go to slide number 3. Now, there are some factors that that determine an option price. Okay, an option strategy's price. And this is where you have to really stop and just let this meditate on this. And this is about how far I'm gonna go with this today, because this takes a minute to get, because we're all used to thinking in terms of stocks. Let me go to the next slide. Okay, so in stocks, what happens with stocks is that you buy a share. Let's say you buy one share of a stock at $100. And what are the influencing factors that determine that share's price? It's only one thing: the market price. The market is either going to go up or it's going to go down. And that's going to determine the price of that share of stock. Okay, we're all used to that, because you probably tried to buy some, Apple shares, and then 6 years later you sold those at, 125. And that's the name. So the point here is that the only thing that really influences the share of a stock price is the market price. It's very simple. Well, with options, or with your option strategy, option strategy, there are 3 inputs. Really, there's 4, but the main inputs are what I'm outlining here. So in your option strategy, you have market price. So the price of the market, whether the S&P goes up 10 points, 20 points, or goes down 10 points, 5, that's going to influence your option strategy's value. Okay, that's one factor. Time is another factor that influences your option strategy's value. Time. And the third big factor is volatility. And volatility is something we'll talk about. But volatility in the market, when the market moves fast or if it's moving slow, that is going to influence the option strategy's price. So you have 3 things you have to keep in mind here when you put the option strategy on. All right, so the option strategy, remember, has a time life. You might be in an option strategy for 7 days. You might be in an option strategy for 45 days or 65 days. So during the life of that strategy, the price of that option strategy is going to be going up and down, just like a stock. It's going to have up days and down days and up days and down days. And hopefully at the end of that, that option strategy's life, you are coming out with a profit, right? And there's the beautiful thing about trading options is that you can you can play around with these variables. You can tweak them. You can adjust the strategy. That's something you can't do with a stock. You can extend the strategy. There's a lot of different ways you can play the strategy in an adaptation to these factors as the price goes up and down. So, just like a stock, the option strategy is going to have, a lifespan. So kind of just to wrap this thing up, just this idea. This is a price chart of a option strategy that has a 4-week lifespan, right? So let's say, you plug in $100 into this strategy, just like we did up here. We said we're going to take $100. We're going to plug this into the option strategy. We're going to let some time go by, and hopefully at the end, we get $150, right? Okay, so this is just a graph of, what that kind of would look like. So here's your option strategy. Here's time. And in this one, your days to expiration is 28 days. All right, so let's just play this out. So on day 0, first week goes by and you're up $40. Second week goes by and you're down a few bucks. Maybe you're down to $30. Week 3 ends and you're up around 80. And then week 4 goes by and you're up at 150. So your idea worked in this scenario. You took $100, you plugged it into the option strategy. Time went by, and then at expiration, at the end of the lifespan of the option strategy, you pulled out $150. So in that scenario, this worked out well. Now, the thing you have to keep in mind is during that whole time, there was 3 factors playing a role in the pricing of that strategy. Market price, if the market goes up, the market goes down, it's playing a role. Time plays a role in option strategies. Time can work against you or it can work for you depending on the strategy. We'll get into that. And lastly, volatility. So volatility can work for you or it can work against you depending on the strategy. And that is the beginning to the next kind of thing that we're going to get into is talking about the Greeks. The Greeks reflect these variables like market price, time, volatility. So market price is defined by a Greek, or is reflected in a Greek called delta. Time is reflected in a Greek called theta, and volatility is reflected in a Greek called vega. Okay, so I don't want to get too far ahead of myself here, but I'm going to pull up a position statement on the platform. And let me close these out. And you can just looking at this statement alone. Okay, this statement is telling me that right now, delta, that's the one that reflects market. This is the strategy, right? There's some options that I've assembled together to put together an option strategy. And this position statement tells me how that strategy is doing, right? How price influences the strategy. So right now, when this says delta negative 4.89, that means that if the market goes down $1, the profit of the strategy will go up $1. Vice versa, if the market goes up $1, you lose $4. Gamma, we'll come back to that. Theta is the Greek that talks about time, right? Theta is time. So in this case, we're positive 53 theta. And that means that every day that goes by, very simple, every day that goes by, this strategy is gaining $53 a day. All right, that's theta, and vega is the Greek that reflects volatility. So if volatility in the market goes up a point, you make $12 just on that alone. That's independent of price movement. So if volatility goes up, this strategy is going to make $13. If volatility goes down, it's going to lose $13. Right now, the P&L is at $350. So overall, and we'll get into how to look at this even more. Think of it like this is the vitals of your option strategy. Like, the vital stats, your heart rate, your blood pressure, it tells you the health of the strategy. Right now, this one's doing pretty good. Okay? And we'll come back to that. We will come back to that. I just wanted to get the big basics, going, and I will keep adding to this and coming back to the graphs and whatnot. But this is good. So we will come back to this and kind of keep our sessions around, in a progressive order like this. All right, take care.